Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the TradeStation Masterclass. My webcam decided not to cooperate with me, so I'm sorry I did not turn that on. My name is Jesus Nava. I'm the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. And as you all know, it's very exciting to do these classes for all of you. Today, we're going to do leveraging Easylanguage, specifically how to create functions. So we're going to do this on a very basic standpoint. If there are any further questions, you know that we always have John Brook with us every other week so that he can answer those questions and give us a little bit more clarity on some of these topics. But I think that from a person that is not an expert in Easylanguage, I think it would be very relatable to you guys if you're getting started with programming, because we can, get together and try to figure things out and see some applications here and there, so that we can all, understand these concepts from a very basic standpoint. So I'm glad that we can do these sessions with you, and I want you to be, hands-on Easylanguage and be able to practice these concepts on your own computers. Before we get started, the usual disclosures: keep in mind that every symbol and idea that I talk about is for educational purposes only. It is not a recommendation of TradeStation. Also, that active trading is not suitable for everyone. Past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. And please take a look at the disclosures on that link that is right there on the PowerPoint slides: www.tradestation.com/important-information. All right, guys, let's make this class a little bit more interactive. So I'm going to give you guys the ability to speak through your microphones if you wish to do so. Sometimes you may be asking questions that need a little bit more clarity, and having a microphone just makes it easier than having to type up some explanations. So thank you everyone for being here. Prasad, thank you for your comments there. We are going to, today is just about functions, so we are not going to do any Easylanguage questions, or it's not going to be a Q&A session, let's put it that way. But you can ask any questions on Easylanguage, and if I'm not capable of answering that question, I'll be very honest with you about it. And if we have to wait for John Brook to answer those questions, then that should be the route we should take. Okay, so let's talk about functions a little bit. As I said at the very beginning, I don't consider myself to be an expert programmer, but I do think that I'm able to figure things out very easily. So that's something that is going to help us, try to figure things on Easylanguage and try to work through things. And today the topic is about functions and why we need functions. So let's go through some of the PowerPoint information here. What is a function? In fact, now that I pull up the information or the PowerPoint, I realize that I don't have a link ready for you. This is the PowerPoint that we've used in the past. It has some simple information about functions and what they're for, and some things that you should always keep in mind when creating these functions. But let me go ahead and pull up my media server and see if I can find this specific PowerPoint, but I can share it with everyone here. I'm just gonna may have to drop it in here. Give me just a moment. All right, I'm going to put it right here into the chat. It's a PDF that has the information that I'm going to show right here in class on this PowerPoint. A function is an Easylanguage element that returns a value or multiple values after evaluating the included statements and logic. By default, all functions appear in color purple based on automatic syntax coloring. Okay, let's just try to explain the reason why you would need a function. Because a function is something that other Easylanguage documents use. For example, if you're creating an indicator, a show me, a paint bar, or a strategy, you can call on these functions. functions are not something that you can put onto a chart. For example, if you go to studies and add studies or add strategies, you're not going to find these specific functions as items that you can put into a chart because they are designed to be used and called upon inside the easy language for indicators, show me's, paint bars, and strategies. So the reason why you would have a function is because sometimes there are mathematical formulas or snippets of easy language programming that it's beneficial to have as a standalone function for the purpose of not having to type up all those extensive mathematical formulas or extensive snippets of code every single time you need them. We have hundreds of different functions that you can use as examples. In fact, if you open up the Easy Language development environment, you can open up functions because they are standalone Easy Language documents. Yes, you cannot add them to a chart, you cannot add them to a radar screen, but they are independent documents inside of the Easy Language development environment that you can create, you can call on, and you can utilize. But yeah, these are all examples that you can open up within the development environment and see how they're built. We've used them many times. In fact, from the simple average function to the more complex functions like maybe stochastic, which is called a pass-through type of function. Yeah, we've seen them and we've utilized them. So today is a class where we show you how to create a function and how to link it up to either a study or a strategy. And I thought that we could, get together and work on an idea and see how we can make it, a little bit more efficient. So we're talking about efficiency here. You don't necessarily need a function. If you're the type of programmer that likes to have everything inside one code, for example, an indicator or a strategy, that's totally fine, but functions are going to make your code a little bit more efficient. It'll give you the flexibility of use the same, calculation in different studies and different strategies and not have to, worry about having discrepancy between your studies and strategies because everything is centralized in a function. You may have a very cool calculation or a mathematical formula that you do all the time for indicators and strategies. But if you change that mathematical formula by containing it into a function that allows you to do those changes just once, and every indicator and strategy that calls on the function is automatically updated because it uses whatever the most updated version of that code is. So it does add a little bit more of efficiency in your code and the way that you're going to be program different things because you don't have to make the changes on multiple instances of that calculation. So we know that when we type up a function inside the code, we know that it turns up in purple. So that's a clear indication that you've typed up a formula that Easy Language recognizes as a function. So, and we've done that many times as well. If you type up the word average inside Easy Language, it turns purple because it's a function. And as we create our own functions, they'll have that same syntax coloring, which is it helps us identify these snippets of code from the rest of the Easy Language code. A function statement can be used to calculate a mathematical formula, we already said that, or evaluate a true-false comparison. So it not only returns a number like an average, it can also be a true-false type of return. So those are true-false variables. It can return a text message or perform any other Easy Language action like drawing even trend lines. We're going to keep our presentation simple. We may just work on one that provides either a true or false or a mathematical formula, okay? Of all functions, return at least one value that must be assigned to a variable as the function is called. This is important because, let me just pull up a video here. Give me just a moment. For you to be able to call or create a historical series of that function, they need to be, assigned to a variable. That's the way that Easy Language calculates, or not calculates. This is the way that Easy Language creates a historical database of all the values for a particular function. By putting, for example, at the bottom of this PowerPoint slide, you see value 1 equals the average of the close over 20 bars. So by assigning the average function to a variable like value 1, Easy Language gets ready and says, this is a reference to that function. I'm going to create this historical database of all the values historically on the chart or historically on radar screen. So it's very important that we assign those functions to variables when we use them. And it's also, I would call them standard programming procedures. It just makes a lot of sense to store those functions into a variable and reference them that way. David, do you have a question? I see you raising your hand. If not, that's okay. We'll just keep on going. Okay. Maybe it was just a mistake. Let me just pull up my code. All right. Just looking for some code here. Okay. Okay, so let's continue on, and I just was looking for some sample code that I was going to show you today. But on this PowerPoint, the next slide, functions, returns, and calculations. Each function can return at least one value that is assigned to a variable, just like the example we just saw, average. The return value type is set when creating a function. Make sure the variable declaration correctly types the assignment variable. So here are some examples, like variables. Average range is initialized as a numeric variable. Let's see if I can turn my laser pointer. So you can see right here, this 0 inside parentheses is what creates the type, is what types the variable. So the parentheses 0 parentheses just tells Easy Language that average range is going to be numeric. The same here for highest average range. Notice that in parentheses, it has the word false. By having the word false, it's going to initialize this variable as a true false variable. So this is the way that you pretty much tell Easy Language what is going to be contained inside of that variable. And that applies to the function as well. And we just need to make sure that we are, creating the type of variable that we want to use in our Easy Language. The return value element of a function is the function name. So we're going to use that function name just to reference what is it that we're referencing, whether it be numeric expression or the true false expression. So there are two types of functions based on historical reference. There are simple functions that do not store historical values. Most functions are simple functions, like for example, average, even though it uses a look back, it doesn't have to store historical values to perform its calculations. It just takes the average of the high minus the low over a period of 20 bars. That's the function called average range. The other type of function is what we would call a series function. And they're a little bit more specialized. It's because the function has to reference historical data from within its own calculation. So here we use average range as the function, and the name of the function is referenced inside of its calculation as bar 1 bar ago. So not only are we looking at, a simple average calculation, we also have to store, the historical values for the function so that we can perform this calculation. As the PowerPoint says, most of our functions are going to be simple functions, but if you need a series function, this would be the way to create it. And that's something that you can assign to the functions. Most functions will be set to auto detect. That's the way that I usually use them, but just want you guys to be aware that there's different types of functions as to the value that it returns. In the properties, right here, there's a note that in the general tab is where you set the method to series, simple, or auto detect. If you're not really sure, just set it to auto detect and Easylanguage will do its thing. There's a lot of things, in Easylanguage that are set automatically. For example, the typing of variables, if it's going to be a double or an integer or a float, that type of labeling on these variables is standard programming, syntax. If you're a programmer, you usually get into a habit of typing your variable from the very beginning. But the technology in Easylanguage is so good that it automatically detects what type of variable is it that it's going to be. So you're going to have a lot of places where you're going to have this auto detect that is going to be very helpful for those of you that are not expert programmers, because it does it automatically for you. The typing of variables, sometimes it becomes an issue if you're not getting the value that you are looking for. Maybe it's because of the auto detect, or of the auto assignment, just typed your variable a little bit different than what you were expecting. But let's go ahead and take this to the next step, which is pretty much, going to our development environment and trying to work together on a particular idea. Let me go ahead and come here. Let's open up a chart here on my trade station. And let's go ahead and set this up. I'm going to use one of the built-in studies here. I'm going to go here to add studies. We're going to use key reversal ideas. This is a show me. And I'm going to put in, let me go here to the show me tab. And here's my key reversal down and key reversal up. Yeah, I'm going to change the style to a thicker dot. Same for the other one, just a thicker dot. And let me go ahead and change the style of this chart just to an open, high, low, close, so that we can see those labels better. Let me go ahead and change the color of my bars to green. That's not the default green, but I'll take it. You see this one is a little bit darker, right? I think it's a custom green that we have in there. None of these in the color palette. Okay, let me do that was a little darker, which is okay because I want the dots to stand out. Okay, so we have our chart in here, and you can see that I'm using a show me that identifies key reversals down and key reversals up. Now, the key reversal definition is something that can change. In fact, you can make the key reversal something that is a little bit more strict by looking at more historical bars. The one that TradeStation has here is a 2-bar formation. It only looks at 2 bars. So for a key reversal down, it's looking at consecutive higher highs, but then the closing price is lower than the previous bar. So a very simple 2-bar pattern. For the key reversals up, we're looking for 2 consecutive lower lows, and then the close to be higher than the previous close. If I check the code of any of these two, let me go here to the code of the key reversal up. I'm going to right click on one of the dots, and I'm going to edit Easylanguage for key reversal up. You can see how in the code, the key reversal is using the lowest function, but there's no key reversal function in itself. And I think the reason for it is because we wanted to have flexibility as to the definition of the key reversal. But you may have a definition of your own, sometimes referring to how the prices on the candles are forming and how they compare to historical candles can be your definition of key reversals. And we can turn that into our own function. So here, the code is just looking at the low to be less than the lowest low of length. Length by default is 1. That's why this is set to as a 2-bar pattern. And the close is greater than the close 1 bar ago. Very simple condition, but you can see that it's spelled out right here inside of the code. It's not referencing a key reversal function in any way. So let's suppose, and this is because, as I said before, the show me gives you the flexibility of changing the length so that you can look back more bars in history. But let's say, for example, that we already have our definition in mind, and we want to create it as a function. So rather than having to type all this every time we want to describe a key reversal, we just reference the function. Because otherwise, if you're looking for key reversals, you do have to type up all this because that would be the condition for the key reversal. So let's go ahead and do that exercise so that we can have our own definition of the key reversal. Let me go here to my chart. And this is what I'm going to be looking for. I'm going to be looking for not only 2 consecutive higher highs or 2 consecutive lower lows. I'm going to increase it to 3. So I'm going to have a 2-bar look back. So I could still change it here, but then I want the closing price not to be compared to the closing price of the prior bar. I want the closing price to be compared to the high or the low of the prior bar. So let's go ahead and put that into code so we can identify it. Okay, then we'll build an indicator, and then we'll build a strategy around that function, which will give us a little bit more flexibility. Let's go here to apps, and I'm going to open up the Easylanguage development environment. Let me close what I have in here, and let's start with the function. I'm going to go here to the drop down and go to function because I want to start my own. This will be $key reversal up. I think I may have something already created from prior classes, but it's okay. If we have something there, I'll remove it and delete it so that it doesn't confuse me. I'm also starting this name or the name of the function with a $. The reason why I'm using a $, is not because it needs it. It's just because as we create our own custom studies, I think you guys have seen that I usually put in an exclamation mark, my initials. Well, this is kind of the same thing. I'm just adding a $, because none of the functions that are built into the desktop started with a $. So I know that any functions that have a $sign in front of it, it's because it's something that I created. I mean, you can add anything here in the front of the name. I just wanted to keep it simple so that it stands out as just a simple function name. But that $sign is going to separate it from the rest. Right here, I can add some notes, and this is the type. What is it going to return? It's important that we make it, the right type. The ones that I've used most are either double numeric, which is a high precision number. So if it's a mathematical formula, that would be the way that you would want to go, or a true false kind of function. So this is the one that I'm going to use now because the key reversal concept, it's either true or false. It doesn't return a number. It just tells you if it's happening or not. But take a look at the other types of functions that are here. If you see yourself creating any other type of function here, then it would be great for you to look into the type and how it's used. Let's just stick to the ones that we use the most. And for any other types of functions here, let's reserve those questions for John Brook, which is our in-house expert, okay? Let's do true, false, and I'm gonna click OK. Okay, so it says it's being used by another function. Please choose another name. So let's click OK to that, and let me cancel first. Let me open up my list of functions because I really want to use that name. I don't want to change it. So let me go here to my functions. And here's the functions that I've created with the $sign. I'm just going to click on that one. I'm going to click on the one that I've already created, and I'm going to remove it. All right. So now I'm going to cancel, and I'm going to try it one more time. Drop down, new function. This will be $sign, key, reversal, up. And I'm going to change it to true, false, and then just click OK. All I need to do here is this function doesn't have any, doesn't need any information from the indicator. A lot of the functions will have certain parameters that you have to supply. Like, for example, how many bars to look at. Mostly it's going to be look back. So, for example, if you're creating an average, the average function, of course, you have to pass a parameter along so that it knows how many bars to use in the calculation. Even the function that we just saw earlier, let me go ahead and pull it up. Let me go ahead and, it was this one, the key reversal up. Let me go ahead and edit the easy language. Like, for example, here is using the lowest function. But notice that the lowest function uses two parameters. By the way, when you open up the code and you see these words come up in purple, you know that they are functions. You can right-click on them and open up the function. Very easily, I'm able to see how this function is calculated. If you need a function that passes through information, you have to create some inputs, like an input variable that tells you or that supplies the information into the calculation. So if the calculation of the lowest function needs parameters, then you'll have to create those here. We can do an example where it needs those inputs. In our example, though, we're going to keep everything simple. Give me just a moment while I pull that up. All right. So let's go ahead and close this function. Let's close this show me that's here. So let's, all right. And I'm going to say, you know, when it's just a simple true false expression like this, I just have to use the name of the function again and say key reversal up. So take a look at my code, you know, we created a function, gave it a name. The name of the function is already being identified as a function. How is that? Because as soon as I type it up, it turns up purple. So there's no declaration of the function name. It is implied that the name of the function, it's the declaration in itself. And that's why when you put it inside of the code, it turns up in magenta already. I'm going to say key reversal up equals, and then it's the condition that I'm going to, that I want to be looking at. So I'm going to say low of 2 bars ago is greater than low 1 bar ago, and low of 1 bar ago is greater than low of 2 bars ago. Okay. So the way that we're writing this, we're looking at the consecutive lows. We're starting 2 bars back, and we want that low to be greater than the low of 1 bar ago, and then the low of that bar to be greater than the low. So we're trying to, the current low is lower than the one before it and the one 2 bars before it. Does that make sense? So that's pretty much, that's a condition. And what makes the key reversal up is, and the close is greater than, I'm not going to use the close of 1 bar ago. I'm going to use the high of 1 bar ago. So that's going to be my condition. A little bit different than, you know, the regular key reversal up. but I want to have those 3 consecutive lower lows and all of a sudden the close to be higher than the high of the bar right before it. All right, let me verify this. And the verification is successful. Now I'm going to create a show me around this so that we can see it on the chart. I'm going to go here to my list and I'm going to say create a show me. And this will be, let's call it again. Let's call it the same. Well, not with the $, exclamation JN, key, reversal up. It's probably already in there since this is the same example. Okay, it's not in there. So key reversal up. JN, I just gave it my initials. And all I need to do is if $, key reversal up, then plot 1, we're going to put it in the key reversal up. We're going to put it at the low minus range times 0.25. And we're going to call this key reversal up. All right, what are we doing here? Well, let me just explain a couple of things. Show me, we know that it's going to draw a dot, right? That's the plot statement. And it's going to put the dot on the value that we put in here. So what I'm doing is removing the dot or giving a little bit of separation between the low and where the dot is. I want the dot to be at the low, but take a look at the range, take a quarter of the range. That's why I multiply this by 0.25. So take a quarter of the range and subtract it from the low. So it creates some separation from the candle or from the bar, and it's not obstructing anything. And the name of that is going to be KRU for a key reversal up. Let's verify this. I want to right click and go to properties because I'm going to change the color. Let's make that a hot pink, fuchsia. And the chart style, let's make it, a little bit thicker. Let's click OK and verify one more time. I'm going to come back here to my trade station and go to my chart. And I'm going to put it here and see how it compares to the key reversals up, which is the default right here on trade station. Studies, add study, show me. So I'm going to go here to the top where my JNs are. This is my key reversal up and click OK. All right. So doesn't happen that often. We have one right here. Let me remove the one that is the one that I added first. So I'm going to remove the key reversal up and I'm going to remove the key reversal down so that we can just concentrate on the ones that are actually, the ones that I'm working on. Let's go take a look at what's happening here. So you can see the condition here being met. We have 1, 2, 3 consecutive lower lows, and then we have the closing price higher than the high of the previous bar. See how it's doing that? Okay, so let's go ahead and where's my restore button? That's strange. There we go. Okay. I was coming down here and I didn't see these overlays, so I was kind of freaking out. So we can see that in other days, it's a little bit more prime. Let's go turn this into a daily chart. And let's turn this into, let's go to Apple. So the condition of this key reversal up is very restrictive. It doesn't pick up on other key reversals that are very prominent. For example, a few months ago, we had a very interesting key reversal down here. Maybe the fact that I'm looking for, the close to be greater than the prior high is what's, making this so restrictive. That's the type of things that we say we can work with, Let's go ahead and, well, before we do anything, let's go ahead and let's go ahead and create the other side of this. Okay, so we have the key reversal up function. Let's create another one. Let me go back in here. We're going to do a function again. This will be $ key reversal down. And it's going to be true false also. So I'm going to put it in here. Let me look at the one for up. And I'm just going to copy this because it's very similar. I just have to be careful as to, the name, which is DN for down. And now I'm looking at the high instead of the lows. I should have typed it all together, right? And now it's not looking at greater than, it's looking at less than. So it does change everything. So we're looking at the high of 2 bars to be less than the high 1 bar ago, and the high to be less than the current high. So we're looking at consecutive higher highs, and the close to be less than, let's do the low 1 bar ago. Let's verify that. Okay, and we're going to put that into a show me as well. So let's go here and go to my show me. This will be exclamation JN key reversal DN. All right, and I'm going to say if key reversal down, then, and the plot statement, let's go ahead and pull up the plot statement from here. Plot 1, I'm going to put it at the high plus the range limit quarter, and this is a key reversal down. Let's verify. I'm going to go to properties. This one right here, let's go to chart color. I'm going to make it a bright cyan, and chart style, make it a little bit thicker. Click OK and verify again. Okay, let's go back to the chart and let's put our new study in there. Study, add study. I'm going to go to the show me. And this is my exclamation JN key reversal down. Okay, it happens more times than the key reversal up, at least for Apple. So let's go here and load 5 years of data. All right, so now notice that we are using these functions and it's just making it easier for me to create studies. And I'm just going to build a strategy now. Let's go ahead and go to the development environment and say, I want a strategy. Strategy is going to be exclamation JN key reversal LE and SE, short entry and long entry. Okay, and this is very simple. If $ key reversal up, notice that it has to turn magenta or purple. If it doesn't turn that color, it's because you either mistyped it or that's the only reason you mistyped it, just to make sure that you have the spelling correct. So if key reversal up, then buy next bar at market. And the other side would be if $ key reversal down, then sell short next bar at market. That's my simple strategy. Let me verify this. It verifies successfully. I'm going to go to the chart. I'm going to say studies, add strategy. My strategy is called the exclamation JN key reversal right here, LE and SE. And here we go. When we get a key reversal up, it buys. When it finds a key reversal down, it sells. Okay, this strategy only generates 2 trades for Apple. Let's go to a different security. Let's go to Microsoft, for example. Okay, we have a few more trades, not many, but just a few. There's no risk management. So over here, we got a big trade that didn't close us. So let's go ahead and put in a built-in stop for our strategy. I'm going to go here to the strategy. I'm going to say set stop position, set stop loss, and let's do 1,000. Okay, so when we come here to the chart, it actually stops us if the loss is too much. Okay, how did the strategy do? Let's go to data and go to strategy performance report. Interesting strategy performance, by just putting it on the chart. The long trades, of course, are doing much better than what the short trades are. You can see that the short trades suffered. I don't have enough historical trades to make a good decision as to the strategy merits, but it's just interesting that I wound up with a profitable strategy. If we change the symbol back to Apple, has less trades, and you can see that the performance is not so good. Let's see, let's put it on SPY. On Spider, 18 trades, not good at all. So let's go back to Microsoft. I like positive numbers. Okay, so this is pretty cool because now if we go back to the code, we created a function that is referenced inside of a strategy. What you're looking at right here is the strategy code. We're also referencing the function inside of two show me's. This is my key reversal up, and this is my key reversal down. So how you see how the function is being referenced in multiple studies. So this is where the flexibility comes on, because now I can go to the function code. This is like the key reversal up, and I can make modifications to what I consider to be my key reversal. Let's go ahead and change a few things here. I'm going to say, I'm going to add more, one more bar. I'm going to say if the low of 3 bars ago is greater than the low 2 bars ago, and. Okay, so I added an extra bar. So it's comparing 3 to 2, 2 to 1, and 1 to current. And the close, I want it to be greater than the close. And let's set it 1 bar ago. We can change that again if we want to, But now we've changed the function. And by clicking on verify, this is where the beauty comes in, That change will be applied to not only my indicator, but also the strategy. Let me go ahead and verify this. And I'm going to do the same thing on the key reversal down function. I'm going to add 1 extra bar here, high of 3 bars ago, less than high 2 bars ago, and then the word and. And the close is less than the close 1 bar ago. Let's verify this. So notice that we just changed the function, but now when I come over here to TradeStation, the strategy changed too. And you can see that my strategy signals align with the show me's. Everything aligns. And all I needed to do was change the code on the function, because the function is the one that's being referenced inside of the show me and inside of the strategy. Now, if I go to data and go to the strategy performance report, you can see that I not only have 18 trades, I have 58 trades, because even though I'm looking back 1 more bar, I think the fact that I'm comparing the closing price to the close of 1 bar ago, it's what's making the difference. We were in a profitable performance though, and we turned the strategy negative, but that's not the point here. The point here is that creating these functions is going to make your code run more efficiently, and it's going to give you the flexibility of changing the core formula and not have to do those changes again and again on the indicators and on the strategies, because everything is connected with the functions. And that's it. I think that's a clear example. Are there any questions? No? We can move the tabs here. So now the 2 functions are right here. They're being referenced on my 2 show me's, and they're also referenced right here in the strategy. Pretty cool. So this is a true false function that we created. We can also create, functions that pass on parameters as well. But we ran out of time, so this is going to be the end of my presentation. Next time, when we do functions, I'm going to have John Brook present so he can give us his insights on functions and best practices when creating functions in Easylanguage. But this is a great basic start on how to create functions, and practice, do it on your own. And if you have any issues, just send me an email, or, we can connect again during Ask the Experts and make sure that those questions are answered. Guys, thank you so much for joining today. Thank you for being part of the masterclass, and I'll see everyone next class, which is tomorrow, 11:30. Ask the Experts. Don't forget. I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.